Korean Mafia boss caught his black maid crying alone in the kitchen. His response left her trembling. Part 2. The diamond earrings felt heavy against her skin. Foreign. Like they belonged to someone else, someone who hadn't spent her life fighting for every scrap, who hadn't scrubbed floors and polished silver just 6 months ago. Naomi Washington stood at the edge of Seoul's most exclusive charity gala, a glass of untouched champagne in her hand, watching the city's elite circle each other like beautiful sharks. Her midnight blue gown, custom Dior that Jae-woo had insisted on, clung to her curves like liquid shadow, making her feel simultaneously powerful and exposed. 6 months since that night in his kitchen. 6 months since he'd caught her crying over the Golden Dragon's blackmail letter. 6 months since he'd promised to burn an entire criminal organization to the ground for her. He had kept that promise. Now she moved through his world, not quite belonging, not quite separate. Still defining the boundaries between them. "So you're the maid who upgraded her position." The voice sliced through Naomi's thoughts like a razor. A woman in scarlet approached, designer heels clicking against marble, smile sharp enough to draw blood. "How adaptable you must be." Naomi's grip tightened imperceptibly around her champagne flute. She'd faced worse than socialite condescension. "I prefer socially mobile," she replied, voice cool. "Or, to Washington, if you're feeling formal." The woman's perfect eyebrows arched. "Doctor? Of what, exactly?" "Medicine. I completed my degree last month." The accomplishment, finished with Jae-woo's financial support but her own brutal work ethic, remained her proudest achievement. "I specialize in trauma care." "How appropriate." The woman's gaze slid meaningfully toward the far side of the ballroom, where Jae-woo Kim stood surrounded by Seoul's business elite, the legitimate face of his empire. "Considering your associations." Before Naomi could respond, she noticed a shift in the room's energy, security personnel moving too quickly, speaking urgently into earpieces. Her eyes found Jae-woo's across the crowd, and the change in his expression sent ice through her veins. His face, always controlled, always measured, had gone completely still in that particular way she'd learned to recognize. The look that meant danger had entered their carefully constructed world. Peace is an illusion bought with blood and vigilance. Those who look away pay twice the price. Subscribe now or join those who'll wonder why they hesitated when the warning signs were clear. The comments are already filling with regret from those who missed what happened next. Morning light spilled through floor-to-ceiling windows, painting golden stripes across the rumpled sheets. Naomi sat cross-legged on the balcony of Jae-woo's, their bedroom, medical journal spread around her, coffee cooling beside her elbow. 6 months of mornings like this had created a rhythm between them, her early rising, his late nights, the precious hours where their schedules aligned. She heard him before she saw him, deliberate footsteps ensuring she wouldn't be startled. Another adjustment he'd made for her, understanding that surprises triggered her survival instincts. "You slept 3 hours," he said, voice still rough with sleep, as he handed her a fresh cup of coffee. "Perfect, 1 sugar, splash of cream, never stirred clockwise." He'd been watching her make her own coffee long before she realized it mattered to him. "4," she corrected, accepting the cup gratefully. Their fingers brushed, casual intimacy that still sent electricity through her skin. "Besides, you slept too." Jae-woo's mouth curved in that almost smile she'd come to treasure, the one reserved exclusively for her. "The Shanghai negotiations ran late." "The legitimate ones or the other kind?" she asked, making space for him beside her on the wide chair. "Both." He settled next to her, bare-chested, the dragon tattoo rippling across muscle as he moved. The bullet scar near his heart, the one he'd taken for her 6 months ago, had faded to a pale mark against his golden skin. "The foundation approved 3 more scholarships yesterday." Pride warmed her chest. "Maya sent the files over last night. Former trafficking victims. One wants to become a lawyer." Her sister had flourished running the rehabilitation foundation Jae-woo had established, turning her own trauma into purpose. Safe in a secured compound outside the city, Maya had transformed from frightened witness to confident advocate, protected by both Jae-woo's name and her own growing reputation in humanitarian circles. Maya asked again about dinner Sunday, Naomi ventured, watching him carefully. Family remained complicated territory. Jae-woo tensed slightly, the movement almost imperceptible to anyone who hadn't learned to read his micro-expressions. The Kim family traditionally dines together on Sundays. I know. Her eyes held his. That's why she suggested it. The unspoken hung between them, integration into his family remained incomplete. His mother still referred to her as, the American girl. His cousins measured her worth against her usefulness to the Kim empire. Only Jae-woo's younger sister had embraced her without reservation. I'll make arrangements, he conceded after a moment, and she recognized what the compromise cost him. The careful balance he maintained between centuries of family tradition and their uncertain future together. Naomi leaned against him, inhaling the sandalwood scent of his skin. Thank you. His arm curved around her shoulders, solid and warm. How's the clinic planning coming along? The architect submitted final drawings yesterday. Excitement colored her voice. Construction starts next month if the permit's clear. The clinic had been her idea, his resources. A medical center for trafficking survivors that would operate alongside Maya's foundation. Dr. Washington's domain, where she could use her medical training to heal the wounds similar to those her sister had suffered. They'll clear, he said with the calm certainty of a man whose influence made bureaucratic obstacles disappear. His phone buzzed, and the brief flicker of irritation across his face told her their moment of peace had ended. Business? She asked, already knowing the answer. The gala tonight. He scrolled through the message. Security protocols for the governor's arrival. Naomi nodded, gathering her journals. The charity gala, raising funds for her clinic and Maya's foundation, represented her first official appearance at Jae-woo's side in Seoul's high society. A statement neither of them took lightly. Should I expect trouble? She asked lightly, though they both knew nothing about their public debut would be simple. Jae-woo's expression remained neutral, but his eyes, those obsidian depths that had first captivated her, betrayed his concern. Nothing my people can't handle. A practiced lie, delivered with perfect conviction. 6 months ago, she might have believed him. Now she recognized the careful calculation behind his reassurance, the balance between honesty and protection that defined their relationship. So substantial trouble, she translated, but you don't want me to worry. His soft laugh carried surprised appreciation. I'm still not accustomed to being read so accurately. Get used to it. She rose, pressing a kiss to his temple before heading inside. I've spent 6 months studying the most dangerous man in Seoul. I've gotten quite good at translation. The ballroom doors burst open. Security personnel formed a barrier around Jae-woo, but he was already moving, not toward safety, but toward Naomi. The crowd parted in terror and fascination as whispers rippled through the room. Through the chaos walked a woman of striking beauty, silk hanbok modernized into a gown that screamed both tradition and rebellion. Her hair fell in a perfect black curtain down her back, her lips painted blood red against porcelain skin. Naomi recognized her from photographs she'd studied in Jae-woo's family albums, Seo-yun Park. Daughter of the Park family, once allies of the Kims before a mysterious falling out 3 years ago. Jae-woo, she called, voice carrying like crystal shattering. Aren't you going to introduce me to your companion? The pause before the last word carried volumes of dismissal. Security surrounded them instantly, but Jae-woo raised a hand, stopping them from removing Seo-yun. The gesture wasn't mercy. Naomi had learned enough about his world to recognize calculation when she saw it. Public confrontations required public resolutions. Dr. Naomi Washington, he said carefully. Naomi, this is Seo-yun Park. A former family associate. associate? Seo Yun's laugh was musical, dangerous. Is that what we're calling it now? She turned to Naomi, eyes assessing her from head to toe. He was supposed to marry me. Did he tell you that part? Our families had negotiated the terms, the merger of our businesses was being finalized, and then he suddenly developed ethical concerns. The room fell silent, even the socialites who had been whispering about Naomi now watching with horrified fascination. This was better than any drama they could hope for, the heir to the Kim Empire, his former arranged bride, and the foreign woman who had supposedly captured his heart. 3 years ago, Seo Yun continued, circling them like a predator, the Kims and Parks were to unite our families through marriage. Until Jae-woo decided trafficking girls wasn't acceptable business practice anymore. Her smile was venomous. Such sudden moral awakening, right when his father had a stroke and power transferred to him. Naomi felt Jae-woo tense beside her, not from embarrassment but from calculation. His hand found the small of her back, not possessive but positioning, ensuring he could move her behind him if necessary. Your invitation must have been lost in the mail, Naomi said evenly. The event is private. Oh, I don't need invitations anymore. Seo Yun's eyes glittered with malice. Not when I have friends among the Golden Dragons. They send their regards, by the way. The name dropped like a stone. The organization Jae-woo had supposedly destroyed 6 months ago, the one that had threatened Maya, that had tried to use Naomi as their spy, that had put a bullet in Jae-woo's chest. The dragons are finished, Jae-woo stated, voice dangerously soft. The tone Naomi had learned preceded his most lethal decisions. That's where you're wrong. Seo Yun moved closer, security tensing around them. They just needed new leadership. Someone with personal motivation to see the great ghost fall. Her gaze shifted to Naomi, assessment hardening into hatred. Starting with taking from you what you took from me. Screens illuminated Jae-woo's office with cold blue light, displaying security feeds from across the city. Maps marked with surveillance points. Intelligence reports on Golden Dragon activity, resurfacing under Park family protection. Jae-woo's top lieutenants delivered their findings while Naomi listened silently, absorbing information she would once have been excluded from. The threat appears centered on Maya, Sung, Jae-woo's security chief, explained, bringing up surveillance photos of the Foundation offices. They've been monitoring staff movements, security rotations. Testing for weaknesses. Naomi's blood turned to ice at the images of her sister's workplace surrounded by unmarked vehicles, of men with concealed weapons photographing employees as they left. We've already increased security at the compound, Sung continued. Ms. Washington has been fully briefed on the heightened protocols. When the others departed, Jae-woo approached Naomi, concern breaking through his controlled exterior. We'll move Maya to the compound in Jeju, he said. Double security protocols at all properties. But Naomi was distracted, mind racing through implications. It doesn't make sense, she murmured. Why target Maya specifically? The Golden Dragons were after your shipping routes, your territory. This feels personal. With Seo Yun, everything is personal. No, Naomi insisted, standing to pace the room. There's something else. Something we're missing. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. The message contained a single image. Maya's witness statement from the trafficking case. But one paragraph was highlighted, testimony Naomi had never seen before, implicating not just the Golden Dragons but a Korean government official who facilitated international movements. A second message followed, your sister didn't just testify against criminals. She betrayed a powerful man who now works with me. Her protection expires at midnight unless you meet my terms. Come alone to the address below, Naomi stared at her phone, mind calculating options, consequences. For the first time in months, she considered keeping a secret from Jae-woo. The realization disturbed her deeply. After everything they'd built, her instinct was still to handle threats to Maya herself. Naomi. Jae-woo's voice cut through her thoughts. What is it? She looked up to find him watching her with that penetrating gaze that had unnerved her from their first meeting. The one that seemed to see through carefully constructed defenses to the truth beneath. Decision crystallized. She held out her phone, showing him both messages. Seo-yun just made contact. Naomi stood before the window of their bedroom, city lights blurring through unshed tears. The ultimatum burned in her mind: meet Seo-yun alone or Maya's additional testimony becomes public, exposing her to threats beyond even Jae-woo's protection. You should be sleeping, Jae-woo said from the doorway, voice gentle in a way few ever heard. How can I? She turned to him, vulnerability naked on her face. Maya testified against a government minister. A man with enough power to make both legal and illegal consequences rain down on her. Minister Choi. Jae-woo moved to stand beside her, close but not touching, giving her the space she seemed to need. I've already started gathering information on him. His connection to the parks. His involvement with the Golden Dragons. I almost didn't tell you, she admitted, the confession painful but necessary. For a moment, just a moment, I considered handling it myself. She expected anger, disappointment, perhaps even the cold withdrawal he sometimes retreated behind when emotions threatened his control. Instead, his expression held only understanding. I know, he said simply. You know. She studied his face, searching for judgment and finding none. I saw it in your eyes when you read the message. His honesty was gentle but absolute. The calculation. The weighing of options. The brief consideration of keeping me in the dark. Shame heated her cheeks. What does that say about us? About me? After everything we've been through, my first instinct was still to protect Maya myself. It says you're still you, he responded, surprising her. The woman who would die before betraying family. The woman I fell in love with precisely because she never fully surrendered her independence, not even to me. His words, so contrary to everything she knew about possession and power in his world, left her momentarily speechless. But I don't want secrets between us, she whispered finally. I'm tired of walls. Then no more walls, he agreed, taking her hands in his. But no more unnecessary risks either. We face this together, as equals, not as protector and protected. The distinction mattered, had become the foundation of their evolving relationship. Not his protection of her, or her dependence on him, but a partnership of complementary strengths. What if someday I have to choose? The fear that had haunted her for months finally surfaced. Between you and Maya. Between your world and mine. Jae-woo's expression softened. Then you choose her, he said without hesitation. And I help you do it. Naomi felt something shift between them. A final barrier dissolving. Why? She asked, needing to understand this unexpected response. Because I lost Soo-min by trying to own her, he said, referencing the woman whose death still haunted him. For the first time, he told her the full truth, not just that Soo-min was killed, but that she died running from his suffocating protection. That his need to control her movements had driven her to seek freedom, making her vulnerable to his enemies. I won't make that mistake with you, he continued, voice rough with rarely expressed emotion. I won't cage what I love, even to keep it safe. The confession created a new level of intimacy between them, the sharing of their deepest failures, their most painful regrets. Naomi stepped into his arms, and they held each other in silence, the city lights painting shifting patterns across their entwined figures. The abandoned warehouse district loomed cold and ominous against the night sky. Naomi approached alone as instructed, but Jae-woo's people were positioned strategically throughout the area, not visible, but present. A new kind of partnership where he respected her agency while ensuring her safety. She wore practical clothing, dark jeans, fitted jacket, boots she could run in if necessary. The weight of the small canister of pepper spray in her pocket, a concession to Jae-woo's concern, felt reassuring against her hip. On her wrist, a watch that doubled as a tracking device and panic button. Seo-yun waited inside the largest warehouse, illuminated by harsh industrial lighting that cast dramatic shadows across concrete and steel. She'd exchanged her elegant hanbok for practical black clothing, but her dangerous beauty remained unmarred. The doctor arrives, she greeted coldly. Though I still see the maid beneath the credentials. 4 men flanked her. 2 former Golden Dragon enforcers Naomi recognized from intelligence files, and 2 bearing the distinctive tattoos of Park family security. What do you want? Naomi demanded, maintaining distance. Originally. To hurt Jae-woo by taking you. Seo-yun circled her predatorily. He humiliated my family, destroyed our engagement, questioned our honor, all because we didn't share his sudden attack of conscience about certain business practices. You mean human trafficking, Naomi clarified, voice hard. I mean profit, Seo-yun corrected. But then I learned something fascinating about your sister. About testimony she gave that never made it into official records. She produced a folder. Testimony about Minister Choi, who facilitated movement of girls through diplomatic channels. The name struck Naomi like a physical blow. Minister Choi, currently serving as South Korea's Deputy Minister of Justice. A man beyond even Jae-woo's considerable reach. Minister Choi is a close personal friend, Seo-yun continued. Imagine his surprise when I showed him this transcript. When I explained who Maya Washington was, and her connection to Jae-woo Kim. What do you want? Naomi repeated, adrenaline sharpening her senses. Initially. For you to betray Jae-woo. To give us access codes to his security systems. To help us destroy him from within. Seo-yun's smile was chilling. But watching you now, I realize there's something more valuable. She nodded to one of her men, who opened a laptop showing a live feed, Maya at the Foundation office, working late, unaware she was being watched. I want to make him watch as everything he loves is taken from him. Just as he took everything from me. The trap. Sprung, men emerged from the shadows, moving to grab Naomi. But she wasn't the same woman who had trembled in Jae-woo's kitchen 6 months ago. She fought back with unexpected skill, techniques taught by Jae-woo's security team over months of training. The first man reached for her arm, she twisted, using his momentum to throw him off balance. The second caught a face full of pepper spray. The third managed to grip her jacket, but a sharp elbow to his sternum doubled him over. The warehouse erupted into chaos as Jae-woo's hidden personnel engaged. Gunfire echoed against metal walls. Seo-yun's expression transformed from confidence to fury as she realized her ambush had walked into an ambush of its own. Naomi found herself backed against a concrete pillar, 2 attackers closing in. Then, like a shadow materializing from darkness, Jae-woo appeared beside her, moving with that lethal grace that had earned him the name Ghost in Seoul's underworld. They fought together. Her warning him of approaching threats, him shielding her when necessary, but never diminishing her own capability to defend herself. Partners rather than protector and protected. When it ended, Seo-yun knelt on the concrete, blood seeping from a bullet wound in her shoulder, her forces neutralized. Jae-woo's men secured the perimeter while he approached his former fiancée, expression grave but not vengeful. It didn't have to end this way, he told her quietly. Seo-yun laughed, the sound harsh with pain. This isn't ending. It's only beginning. Her eyes found Naomi, hatred blazing through physical weakness. Ask him about his father's stroke. Ask him if he believes it was natural. The words landed like a bomb. Jae-woo's father's stroke 3 years ago had changed everything, had put him in power, had led to his discovery of the trafficking operations, had set in motion all the events that eventually brought Naomi into his life. Minister Choi visited your father the day before his stroke, Seo-yun continued, voice weakening. Our engagement wasn't cancelled because of your moral objections. It was cancelled because you discovered what really happened to your father. Naomi watched understanding dawn in Jae-woo's eyes, connections forming, past events recontextualizing. The golden dragons were never the real enemy, Seo-yun whispered. They were just the visible face. The true power has always been in the shadows. People like Minister Choi who use both criminals and law enforcement as tools. As medical teams arrived to treat the wounded, Jae-woo stood in stunned silence, the implications of Seo-yun's words reshaping his understanding of the past 3 years. Naomi took his hand, grounding him in the present moment. Whatever this means, she said firmly, we face it together. No more secrets. No more separate battles. He nodded, decision crystallizing. It's time to bring Maya fully into our protection. No more divisions between your family and mine. The Kim family compound sprawled across a hillside outside Seoul, traditional buildings harmonizing with modern security in a synthesis of old and new that characterized Jae-woo's approach to his heritage. Cherry blossoms drifted across manicured gardens, their delicate scent belying the tension that hung in the air. Sunday dinner. The first time Maya had been invited to join the Kim family's most sacred tradition. Are you sure about this? Maya asked as they approached the main house, her hand gripping Naomi's tightly. Despite running Jae-woo's foundation for months, she had always operated at a careful distance from his family. I'm sure, Naomi replied, squeezing her sister's hand reassuringly. After what Seo-yun revealed, we can't afford separation anymore. We need to be unified, all of us. Inside, the Kim family awaited, Jae-woo's mother, elegant and reserved in traditional hanbok, his younger sister Jina, whose modern outfit and warm smile offered welcome contrast, cousins and uncles whose gazes held varying degrees of assessment and suspicion, and at the head of the table, Jae-woo's grandfather, the family patriarch whose approval meant everything in this hierarchical world. Most surprising was the presence of Jae-woo's father. Wheeled to the table by an attendant, his body diminished by the stroke that had left him partially paralyzed but his eyes sharp with intelligence. His presence at a family dinner featuring outsiders represented a significant statement about their importance. You honor us with your presence, Jae-woo's mother said formally to Maya, the words correct but the tone cool. The honor is mine, Maya responded, bowing with perfect depth, a gesture Naomi had helped her practice for hours. To everyone's surprise, she continued in careful Korean, presenting a small gift with both hands as tradition dictated. Please accept this token of respect for welcoming us into your home. Something flickered across the older woman's face, surprise, perhaps even reluctant approval. You speak our language. I'm learning, Maya admitted, switching back to English. My students at the foundation are teaching me. I believe understanding comes before respect. The simple statement, delivered with Maya's characteristic directness, shifted something in the atmosphere. Jina immediately engaged Maya in conversation, drawing her into the complex choreography of the family dinner with unexpected warmth. Naomi found herself seated beside Jae-woo's father, a position of honor that caused whispers among the extended family. The older man couldn't speak clearly, but his eyes followed her movements with unmistakable interest. My son tells me you heal people, he said finally, the words labored but understandable. I try, Naomi replied, meeting his gaze directly. He studied her for a long moment, then reached for his cup with a trembling hand. Instinctively, Naomi steadied it, helping him drink without making a spectacle of his weakness. The simple act, done without fanfare or attention drawing, earned her a look of gratitude. Not just bodies, he observed quietly. My son, too. The conversation flowed around them. Business interests, foundation activities, careful inquiries about the clinic Naomi was establishing. Throughout the meal, she noted Jae-woo watching his grandfather, whose assessment would ultimately determine their acceptance. Finally, the old man spoke, addressing Naomi directly. So, he said, his voice carrying the weight of decades of authority, you fight beside my grandson now. Not just behind him. Yes, sir, she answered, meeting his gaze without flinching. The patriarch nodded once, approval flickering across his weathered face. Good. The women in this family have always been warriors. Some just forgot for a while. His glance toward Jae-woo's mother carried volumes of family history, of strong women whose spirits were temporarily dimmed by rigid traditions. The older woman's lips tightened, but she didn't contradict him. After dinner, when the family dispersed to various parts of the compound, Jae-woo led both Naomi and Maya to a private garden where his father waited. The setting sun cast golden light across the carefully tended space, illuminating stone lanterns and flowing water. "Father," Jae-woo said gently, "there's something we need to discuss." "About Minister Choi." The older man's expression darkened, confirmation flashing across his features before he could mask it. His hand trembled as he gestured for them to sit. For the next hour, through halting speech and written notes, Jae-woo's father confirmed what Seo-yun had implied, that his stroke had not been natural. That Minister Choi had visited him the day before, threatening exposure of certain business irregularities if he didn't agree to specific policy changes and business arrangements that would benefit Choi's allies. "He poisoned me," the older Kim wrote clearly. When threats didn't work. The revelation transformed everything, placing Jae-woo's battle against the Golden Dragons into a larger context. They hadn't just been business rivals or ethical concerns, but pawns in a larger game orchestrated by figures in Korean government. "Why didn't you tell me?" Jae-woo asked, his control slipping to reveal rare emotion. His father's written response was heartbreaking in its simplicity: "To protect you. If you knew, you would seek revenge. Choi would destroy you. I chose your life over justice." Naomi watched understanding transform Jae-woo's expression, the recognition of his father's sacrifice, of love disguised as weakness. Of protection that came at terrible personal cost. "We'll find another way," Jae-woo promised, gripping his father's hand. "Justice without destruction." The older man's eyes moved from his son to Naomi, then to Maya, assessment clear in his gaze. "Finally," he wrote, "together. The Washington sisters bring perspective we need. Strength beyond violence." The acknowledgement, so contrary to traditional Korean family hierarchy, represented a profound shift. Not just tolerance of outsiders, but recognition of their value. Not just acceptance, but integration. Later, as they prepared to leave, Jae-woo explained the significance. "In our family, presenting someone to my father in this way is equivalent to a formal declaration of intention. You are both now under Kim protection, officially and permanently." "Like engagement?" Maya asked, eyebrow raised. "Like family," Jae-woo corrected. "Whether Naomi and I marry or not, you both now carry the protection of our name." The distinction mattered. This wasn't about possession or convention, but about expanding the definition of family beyond blood and tradition. As their car pulled away from the compound, Naomi caught a glimpse of a figure watching from the shadows, Jae-woo's mother, her expression unreadable but her presence deliberate. A message sent without words. "I see you. I acknowledge you. The rest remains to be earned." It was enough. For now. Tomorrow isn't promised in their world. Every moment stolen from darkness is precious and fleeting. Subscribe now or be the one who abandons them when the conspiracy reaches its deadliest phase. The comments are already filling with those who'll regret missing what happens when Minister Choi discovers they know the truth about Jae-woo's father. 3 a.m. The mansion quiet except for the soft footfalls of security personnel and the distant hum of Seoul beyond the gates. Naomi stood at the kitchen counter, unable to sleep despite exhaustion pulling at her bones. The kitchen where everything had begun. Where Jae-woo had found her trembling, the Golden Dragon's blackmail letter in her hands. Where he had tilted her chin up and promised to dispose of whoever made her cry. 6 months. A lifetime. A heartbeat. She didn't hear him enter, but she felt his presence, the shift in the air that always preceded his appearance. The kitchen lights were dim, casting his shadow long across the polished floor. "This is where I found you," he said quietly. "Crying over that letter." She turned, smiling despite the weight of everything they'd discovered. Where my life changed completely. Where our lives changed, he corrected, approaching her with that fluid grace that still captivated her. His face was etched with fatigue, the past days having carved new lines around his eyes. Unlike that first night, there was no fear between them now. No power imbalance. No desperate bargains or uncertain futures. Just two people who had chosen each other despite every reason not to. "I have something for you," he said, placing a small wooden box on the counter between them. The box was old, carved with traditional Korean symbols she recognized from her studies of his culture. Protection, eternity, strength. Inside lay not a ring as she half expected, but a key. "What is this?" she asked, lifting it curiously. The metal felt warm against her fingers, somehow significant beyond its practical purpose. "The building where you grew up in Harlem," he explained. "I purchased it last month." Surprise rendered her momentarily speechless. He had never asked about her childhood home. A small apartment above what had once been a neighborhood grocery, long since converted to overpriced condominiums as gentrification claimed her former neighborhood. Not as a gift, he clarified, understanding her wariness about financial dependence. As an investment in our foundation's future. If you approve, it will become a medical clinic for trafficking survivors. Run by you, Dr. Washington, with full operational authority. The thoughtfulness of it. Honoring both her past and her future, her independence and their connection, brought unexpected tears to her eyes. "You would never be the kind of woman satisfied with charity galas and social status," he continued, his understanding of her core self both humbling and exhilarating. "You need purpose. Meaning. Your own domain where you make the rules. Just like you," she observed, understanding him completely. "Just like us," he corrected, drawing her close. Two territories, separate but allied. Two kingdoms with open borders. Their kiss carried the weight of everything they'd survived together, threats overcome, barriers broken, two worlds gradually merging into something entirely new. Neither surrender nor conquest, but genuine partnership. When they separated, Naomi noticed something else in the box beneath the key, a simple platinum band studded with small black diamonds. "This part is a gift," he said, following her gaze. "Not ownership. Not demand. Just, intention." She lifted the ring, examining its understated elegance. "It looks like stars against night sky. Black diamonds for a doctor who operates in darkness," he explained. "Who brings healing to places others fear to tread." The symbolism moved her deeply, recognition of her work, her calling, rather than merely her position as his partner. She slipped it onto her finger, where it caught the dim light with subtle brilliance. "I had planned to wait," he admitted. "To give us more time before formalizing anything. But after what we've learned about Minister Choi, about the conspiracy that may have been surrounding us all along." He paused, vulnerability showing through his usual control. "I wanted you to know where you stand. That whatever comes next, you are my equal. My partner. My chosen family." Naomi understood the profound nature of this declaration from a man raised in rigid hierarchy, in a culture where family meant bloodline and tradition. To choose her, an outsider, a foreigner, a woman with no connections or status, represented a revolution in his worldview. "I still have questions," she said honestly. "About your father. About Minister Choi. About what happens next. We'll find answers together," he promised. "No more secrets. No more separate battles." She believed him, not with blind faith or desperate hope, but with the earned trust of 6 months fighting at his side. 6 months watching him balance power with principle, protection with respect for her autonomy. "Then yes," she said simply. "To the clinic. To the ring. To whatever comes next." His smile, rare and genuine, transformed his features, erasing years of carefully maintained control. For a moment, she glimpsed the man he might have been without the weight of empire and violence, lighter, freer, unburdened by constant vigilance. It vanished quickly, reality reasserting itself, but she treasured the glimpse. A possible future, perhaps. A goal to work toward. As they left the kitchen together, the ring a comfortable weight on her finger, the key to her future clinic secure in her pocket, Naomi felt a curious sense of completion. The circle begun 6 months ago in this room had closed, even as new circles opened before them. Whatever Minister Choi represented, whatever danger still lurked in the shadows of Jae-woo's past, they would face it together. Not as protector and protected, but as equals with complementary strengths. Not perfect. Not easy. But real. And in a world built on illusions and performances, reality was the most precious commodity of all. In Minister Choi's elegant office overlooking Seoul's government district, a different scene unfolded. The man himself, impeccably dressed, silver hair perfectly styled, reviewed photographs spread across his desk. Images captured by surveillance teams. Jae-woo and Naomi at the warehouse confrontation. Maya entering the Kim family compound. Security teams reinforcing positions around Kim properties. An aide entered nervously. "Sir, the Park girl failed. The Kim organization neutralized the threat and has taken both Washington sisters under formal protection." "The Park family was always too emotional," Minister Choi responded dismissively. "Too focused on personal vendettas rather than strategic objectives." "Should we proceed with the next phase?" the aide asked. Choi studied a particular photograph, Jae-woo's father at the window of his room, watching his son walk the grounds with Naomi. "Not yet," he decided, voice chilling in its detachment. "The Washington sisters have inadvertently given us something valuable. Jae-woo Kim now has attachments. Vulnerabilities. For the first time since we dealt with his father, he has something to lose." He placed the photos in a folder marked simply, "Kim Dynasty Succession. We'll let them enjoy their happiness," he continued. "Family dinners. Medical clinics. Young love. Let them believe the danger has passed." His smile carried the patience of a predator who knows exactly when to strike. "The best victories are the ones your enemies never see coming until they've already lost everything that matters." Rain fell softly against the windows of Jae-woo's mansion. Inside their bedroom, Naomi slept in his arms, her medical textbooks on the nightstand beside his security reports. On her finger, the black diamond ring caught moonlight filtering through rain-streaked glass, a promise, a commitment, a declaration of intent. Outside, unseen in the shadows, a car idled. A camera lens captured their silhouette through curtains. A report was filed electronically to Minister Choi's secure server, targets in position. Monitoring continues. The game had only just begun. But for tonight, in this moment, they had found something precious in a world that tried to take everything, truth in a landscape of lies, equality in a system built on domination, love between worlds that should never have connected. Not a fairy tale. Not a fantasy. But a partnership forged in fire, tested by blood, and ultimately stronger than the darkness that had brought them together.